Namaskaram. In today's session, it's a very interesting topic that I'm going to cover from the Bhagavad Gita. And this is something got to do, which is very close to my heart, which has got to do with understanding people. What is the basic nature of people, the personality theory. And this theory I am drawing from the Bhagavad Gita. And there is this beautiful shloka, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam. Okay, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam means Krishna is telling Arjuna that I have created in this world these four Varnas. And then he gives a beautiful description, Guna Karma Vibhagasham. Means it's very clearly brought out in the Bhagavad Gita that these Varnas are brought as per the Guna and Karma. It means I have created these four divisions, or Varna in Sanskrit means color. And this is something that Swami Chinmayananda beautifully explains, that, unknowingly, somewhere in the translation, this Varna has become caste and people have misunderstood and used it wrongly in the world. But the personalities are based on the colors, and colors are nothing but the tendencies of people, how they behave. So it is a personality theory. It's a beautiful personality theory which has been discovered way back, and we have missed the point all the time. Now this session is about understanding how do you understand people from their personality. So we talk about Chatur Varnyam, and Krishna is telling Arjuna, I have created these four Varnas. So this is, the four Varnas are nothing but what we already know. We call it the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras. But I am going to give a very modern perspective and a very different perspective to this whole thing. And we have to open our minds to understand it not as a caste system, but more as a guna and karma. That means your basic nature and your work that you're going to do. Using these two things, we are going to describe these four aspects. The first one is Brahmana. So if you understand the Brahmana, in those days, they were spiritual people, very religious people who were very focused on learning and teaching, and so what does it imply? It implies knowledge, intellect. So somebody who is very knowledge driven, intellect driven, likes to go deep into stuff, very inquisitive, is a person who has a lot of Brahmanic tendencies. So that is what we call from the personality aspect. I'm giving a very macro view. I'm not going to go deep into it, but there are many more factors which will be considered. But just to understand, a Brahmanic tendency or inclination is more on intellect driven, knowledge driven, going deep. Then we have the next is called the Kshatriya. Kshatriya is nothing but leadership. Imagine, we are all leaders. We have a lot of leaders in the corporate. We have leaders in the defense, in the police, and the people who have, what is leadership? Leadership is about taking responsibility for others, having a sense of justice, having a sense of equality, having a sense of bringing controlling things to ensure that there is a fairness in everything that is being done. Now this is an inclination of many people that is there, which comes naturally, that I like to take charge, I like to build people and understand what they do. This is the Kshatriya tendency. The third tendency that we talk about is the Vaishya tendency. Vaishya tendency is more about the commerce. What is Vaishya? Now it's about commerce. So people who have inclinations to get into the financial world, to build businesses, entrepreneurial capabilities, who think money, who can understand money very well, who always play with the ideas to make those ideas more business centric. Typical entrepreneurial capabilities. This is the Vaishya inclination in the modern day. That means anybody who is thinking of building a lot of wealth and has got ideas and comes up with risk taking ability, goes and takes risks and able to generate an idea and create a business model out of the idea and make money out of it very easily. Venture capitalists, they all fall into this Vaishya category inclination. And the fourth category is the Shudra, which everybody is going to be like waiting for. What is this guy going to say about Shudra? Now, let me tell you, it is not something to be looked down upon. Somewhere it got misconstrued as Shudra means somebody who is doing menial labor and oppressed community. And today everybody is talking about the oppressed community and all that, which is a completely misinterpreted and misutilized version of this Varna. I'm going to give you this modern explanation of this whole, which I call it as service mindedness. So anybody who is very very compassionate, who likes to help people, who has got this inclination to solve problems of other people, who can sit across, who can listen, who can be a part of a team and be very supportive and be cooperative and be very agreeable and harmonious. Now these are the inclinations of people who are falling into the fourth category, where they make excellent team players, they make excellent workers, they make excellent people who can actually be a part of an organization and produce value for the organization. So this is the four inclinations. Now, it's not so simple as it sounds the way I said it, because each one of us, each one of there in the human beings, have got all these four inclinations in certain proportions or the other. So what happens is, if we are able to identify, and it's going to change, it is not a constant for life. So personality doesn't mean that you remain a personality forever. You go through stages in your life, and as you mature, as you evolve, these personality inclinations will keep going up and down. Now we need to understand, even in the scriptures, if you look at it, there was a Parshurama who was a person who had a lot of Kshatriya tendencies, but he was a sage. Similarly, you have Valmiki, who was a bandit, and he became a sage and a Rishi Muni. So there are, across the life stages, you will keep changing your tendencies and inclinations. But when it comes to deciding what you want to do in life, what Bhagavad Gita tries to tell you is, try and introspect and understand these tendencies, and not try to do something which is not as per your tendencies, which is what Arjuna was trying to do. And Krishna tells him, no, you are a Kshatriya, you have to fight, you have to fight, you cannot go to the forest and start meditating. That's not your job. Your vasanas or your tendencies are very strong. You have to complete these tendencies, and you have to naturally progress into the stage where internally you have this inclinations, which is to become a knowledge oriented person. Till the time that internal inclination doesn't arise on its own, you have to follow your dharma. And that is what is the message that comes out beautifully in the Bhagavad Gita, which is very beautiful for all of us in the modern day and age to pick up and use. Understand yourself. So when we do vipassana, when we do meditation, we look inwards, we understand our inclinations, which are natural. And understanding those inclinations and our behavior and the way we work in this world, when we understand all this very well, we accordingly take a direction to continue working in the same dharma. So dharma is about your quality. The quality that you have, you work as per that quality. If we do that, we find satisfaction, we find happiness in whatever we do. And that's the key in Jivan Pravas. When we do this mentoring, we're trying to understand the qualities of the people. We use certain psychometrics, but idea is to identify these qualities, connect to the person's inner core and say, what is my qualities, what am I doing naturally, what are my natural inclinations, connect it to the modern world, and say, okay, a brahmana can be a great researcher, can be a scientist, can be an academician, can be a curator, can be a data analyst, can be an auditor, can be a forensic scientist, can be a cybersecurity specialist. Now, these are modern day careers, right? Similarly, you have a Vaishya who can be a great startup entrepreneur, who can come up with ideas, who can create something in fintech maybe, or something in blockchain, or something in the AI, or come up with an idea which can can disrupt the whole environment. That's the Vaishya category. A Kshatriya can be a person who is a commander of the military forces, who is a police officer, who can a commando. These people come in the Kshatriya category. Or maybe a politician who is actually controlling the entire population. Or maybe you're doing something as a public policy expert, and you're actually creating a big impact on a lot of people. So that's the leadership part comes there. And if you are a Shudra, if you're a service person, you can be a great social service activist. You can be a person who is actually a counselor, who is actually going and helping people. You can be a person who is working for the benefit of a lot of people, maybe in a hospital, or as a nurse, or maybe as a technician, or working in a factory as a team player, or as a manager who is actually doing administrative work. So an administrative officer, a security officer, or all these kind of works which require you to follow processes and ensure that systems are absolutely intact and doing perfectly well, you fall into the service category. So it's not that one is better than the other. It depends on what you are naturally inclined to, and there's nothing wrong in being in either of these four categories. And there's nothing wrong in period of time to change also. Somebody could be service minded in the earlier part of life, and then later on shift into becoming a Kshatriya, or it's possible as inclinations could change, and that's nothing wrong in that too. But yes, it doesn't happen very often, it doesn't happen very suddenly. It takes a lot of time for inclinations to change. Sometimes these inclinations don't change at all, they last a full lifetime. That is the what Bhagavad Gita brings out, is changing inclinations which are internal is very difficult. Therefore, if you understand our inclinations, it is always better to try and listen to yourself, understand yourself, and then follow those inclinations, which is why it becomes very difficult sometimes to do this introspection and find out the inclinations on your own. And that is where you need a mentor who can sit across, use some tools, but ultimately come to an agreement and understand what these inclinations are and how these inclinations can be converted into beautiful opportunities where you can work, you can occupy yourself doing something wonderful and be happy and satisfied in life. I hope you know how I have tried to explain the concept of Chaturvarnya Gunakarma Vibhagasya, created by the Lord, by the Creator, or Krishna. What he talks about is, I have created this for the whole world. Means this all intelligence that is there around us, the entire consciousness or infinite consciousness or the Ishvara or whatever you want to call it, but this all intelligence or the Creator or God, these are all one and the same. This has created this, so it's an ecosystem, and this has been discovered way back. And that is exactly what we are trying to convert and use it practically in our day to day life. And I hope whatever I've said, I would love to hear your views and comments on this. And I hope it has added some value to you in this session. And with this, thank you so much for listening. And see you next time with something more spectacular and amazing. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Thank you, and see you in the next session.